Next July, the U.S. will celebrate its 250th birthday, marking Independence Day. And the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, had stated that as part of the 250th celebration, they're going to hold a UFC card on the grounds of the White House. Dana's going to do it. Dana, one of a kind. And who was the first to volunteer to fight on this card? The civilly liable Conor McGregor, who's in the midst of his appeal process this week, raised his hand. He wants to make his comeback on the White House grounds.
How perfect.
So
How perfect.
Yeah. Road trip away.
So, I mean, this is happening. This is happening for sure, isn't it? After these words coming out of the
Donald Trump has stated that this is happening. Like, we will see. We will see.
What do you mean we'll see? Like, I mean, if he said it, it'll happen. What's to stop it?
Excuse me. Donald Trump said it. It will happen. I will hold my breath.
There are many things he says that I would certainly be skeptical about. Hosting a UFC event at the White House isn't necessarily.
This seems very conceivable that this will happen. I mean, I don't imagine that this will not happen. But let's
whether Conor will fight on it, I guess.
Conor fighting is a whole other can of worms. Like if that occurs or not. But yeah, I mean, if this does happen, like this is going to be like a very as Dana White said back in the pandemic, you want to break from politics, you tune into the UFC. We don't talk about any of that stuff. Okay?
Of course, yeah.
It's come a long way.
Isn't this kind of funny coming off of like I think like your discussion, it was either Brandon or like your interview with Kareem, like where like this scenario was exactly like brought up. Yeah,
like this is more than anything UFC has ever done that will attach themselves to this administration. Like we're literally going on to the grounds of the White House. And yeah, people were joking that maybe instead of the 4th of July, they should pick the 6th of January for this date.
Oh my God. Well, listen, we can talk about all these stories with like a level of separation because it is the UFC, not the WWE. But this is the same company.
It's a TKO event. Yeah, absolutely.
And so, do we expect any sort of backlash to go towards TKO? Obviously, I think the UFC as an entity, not really, but like to TKO itself, and maybe by extension WWE.
It's G1 Climax season, and that means the Post Wrestling Cafe has you covered with podcasts covering every single tournament match. Plus, we've got Rewind Away going back to 2005 to review Vengeance featuring Triple H versus Batista in a Hell in a Cell match. John and Way are going to be reviewing F1 the movie starring Brad Pitt, and of course, XL editions of Rewind to Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown. Ad-free with the news of the week and your feedback. Sign up now at postwrestlingcafe.com. Are you talking about like the wider public having any kind of issue with TKO doing this, or are you talking about like maybe a subset of like wrestling fans, for instance? Because I think those are two very different things.
Yeah, the wrestling fan seems to be very able to like separate the two. Like if the WWE did this, there'd be like a tremendous uproar, I would say. But the fact that it's the UFC seems somehow okay.
Yeah, like you will still get like who knows what the political climate will be come next 4th of July and what kind of issues are going on at large involving the US administration. I'm sure it's not going to be just quiet news days as this government progresses. But I think there will be ample amounts of MMA fans that will look at this and praise this, and I think when it comes to the wider public at large, I think there will be much bigger things that they're going to be focused on rather than a UFC card taking place at the White House, for instance. Now, Conor McGregor, if he were to fight on this, like I think that's one where you would think that there would be a lot of scrutiny, but I think you're kind of being naive.
No, like I mean, I think I hate to say it, but I feel like the average like UFC viewer either doesn't know exactly what's going on about Conor and will probably just think of it as like a really big fight with like, arguably still the biggest MMA fighter that's currently active. Anyway, but a move like this is something we've just kind of naturally expected in the evolution of the relationship between, essentially what is now MAGA's official sport in the UFC.
And it's the kind of event like this is what is going to stoke the energies of a Dana White that seems very removed from the day-to-day of UFC, and that, his interests seem to be elsewhere than the day-to-day UFC product. That stuff like this, stuff like running a show at Sphere in Las Vegas, like that seems to be the stuff that Dana gets. Like you can imagine Dana will be the poster child of this type of an event should it come to pass next year.
How much do you think this, like something like this, may influence a WWE to take further steps into publicly sort of, acknowledging their relationship with the Trump administration?
Listen, I think you look at the temperature of this of the U.S. and a lot of businesses that have felt like it is safe to attach yourselves, and it's for self-preservation that they attach themselves to this administration. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that. And I think TKO as a whole, I don't think they have those concerns. And if a WWE were to become much more kind of front-facing when it comes to their talent being, used in politicized situations, and WWE itself, I don't think that's beyond the realm of playing itself out from a company that's tried to have at least an apolitical front. But you just see what the DNA of this company is, and the McMahon family by extension, that it's really hard to separate the two. And I don't know if the WWE will see the harm in further attaching themselves to this government if there is a benefit to.
Is there a financial benefit to it?
Yeah, like
clearly there is for the UFC. Now, does the WWE, would they also benefit from the association, or would it be a risk that might actually harm them?
I think that there is some harm in that. I feel their fan base will be more sensitive to that than obviously the UFC fan base will. Like you will upset people, but I think you look at it like, is it a net positive to brand yourself as, attached to approving, like with this government, that it's overall you're going to be endearing yourself to more people than those that you're going to turn off. And they've made the decision up until this point that they have not wanted to have that crossover, even though there's a long-standing relationship with Donald Trump.